Listen, y'all. Last Sunday, I fell down the steps. So Sunday morning, I'm getting up. I'm going to go downstairs. My son is already downstairs. He's already made his breakfast. He's doing his own thing. I'm slow moving. So I was like, oh man, let me go downstairs and make some breakfast. Now here's the kicker. I thought, ooh, I hope I sure don't fall down these steps.
Oh.
And what did I do?
You fell right down the steps.
And my steps are hardwood laminate.
Oh.
So they are unforgiving.
Yeah. Oh.
And y'all, I landed square on my right hip and then slid.
Oh no.
Like down like 4 or 5 steps.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So there are 3 things I'm grateful for. 1, I didn't break anything.
Mm-hmm.
2, that I wasn't home alone. That even though Taj is 12, he was here. He was so Johnny on the spot. He was just like, what can I do? What do I do? Okay. And went and got the first aid kit because I hurt my hand. It was all the stuff that was going on. The 3rd thing I'm grateful for is this Rona booty that I have now.
Nice.
Protective.
It is padding when you need it.
It is padding. So, I have judged the Rona booty. I've not always been thankful for the Rona booty. Because we it's a journey, right? So it's just like, not only is it a Rona booty, it's a Rona 53-year-old booty. So the booty just doesn't sit where it used to. Yeah. Like the breasts don't live where they used to. The booty doesn't. It's just kind of, very happy to rest on the back of my thigh.
Yeah. I know. I hate them for that. I hate them for that.
Right? You're just kind of like, are you tired? The booty's like,
faster. Yeah.
So that's my check-in. I have a bruise on my right hip that looks like a small island off the coast of Africa.
Oh.
So it was pretty substantial. I didn't go to the doctor. I trusted myself. I did a lot of soaks with Epsom salts and with arnica, so it wasn't as tender.
Okay.
Right.
Arnica's probably making it look worse faster too. So it's healing it faster.
It's healing it faster. It makes it look horrific.
Yeah.
Because it's like the inflammation and everything is just like rising to the surface, so it looks pretty bad.
Sorry.
But I feel much better. But I thought y'all would appreciate that. I was like, because falling when you're an adult. And then
No, see, I do this all the time though. This is I'm terribly clumsy.
In this klutzy, yeah. And I had some young person in my DMs who I think he fancies me. Said, well, you should probably take MMA classes. Like,
I don't know why that made me laugh.
Mixed martial arts. This young man said to me, instead of, oh my gosh, Omi, how are you? Are you okay? It was like, adults should fall more often. As a matter of fact, you should probably take a mixed martial arts class because that'll help you.
Oh, sorry. I'm just projecting. If I were in a class like that, I would surely do myself in. Just last night, actually, on my 3rd trip to the restroom in the middle of the night. Speaking of aging, my floors are very slippery, and I'm not wearing slippers or sneakers or anything on my way to the bathroom, but I feel like I should start.
I think you should.
Have one of these
moments where you're like, you feel like the whole ground has shifted beneath your feet. You're like, what the hell? Y'all.
It was so ungraceful, and I kind of like wrenched my hip. By the time I got back to bed, all I could think was, oh my God.
I'm so glad I didn't fall. Is that what was going through your mind?
No, I almost almost wished I just hit the ground because the wrenching of my hip trying to save myself.
No.
It wasn't worth it.
It wasn't worth it.
Oh, God.
Yourself is worse sometimes.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Oh, this is too funny. Omi, I'm glad you're fine. I'm glad.
Girl, y'all, I was like, I cannot wait to tell Rachel and Anne-Marie this story. Because when I was looking at some of the things we might talk about today, I said, I can't wait to tell them. Because, it's like, you fell down a lot as a kid.
Yeah.
I used to figure skate and fell down constantly. It was like all I did. Now oh God. Last year I was stressing because I found out I didn't have health insurance when I thought I did. My freelance license basically. So I was in my head just going like, oh my God, definitely tomorrow morning I'll get in a car accident and my life will be ruined. Right. I don't understand health insurance over here like we do. They think we're very uptight about it. I was spazzing. I got out of the shower, slipped and fell, and like smashed my toe into the wall, lost my toenail. Yeah. But I thought it was sort of poetic justice because in my brain I was like, I'm going to wake up and have a tumor. I'm going to like get into a car accident. Instead I slipped and hit my
and lost you. But then it took your toenail like how long to grow back?
Yeah.
God. Oh my God. It's like 8 months. Like someone who just done like 8 months. I'm like, no, it can't be.
Oh my God.
It is. It's just like, how long is this going to be like this?
You do not want to lose your toenail. And
you do not want to lose your toenail.
No. It's a karmic reminder. What's important and what's not.
Yeah, exactly.
Listen, so check it. So I have hijacked my 12-year-old's shoes.
That's what I need on my way to the bathroom.
It's got this really great,
like a grid, like ice climbing boots. You need this after 50.
You do.
Do you remember when like your mom would talk about like Aunt Isla had a fall and you'd be like, she had a fall. Like, what's the big deal?
What was she doing? Right. You're like, what was Aunt Isla doing that she fell down? My Aunt Emma was notorious for falling because she was always doing shit. She was like putting up pictures by herself, putting up drapes by herself, cleaning the tops of the cabinets by herself in her 70s. And taking tumbles. Yeah. And we were like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
She's like, I felt like I wanted to change the winter drapes to the spring drapes and then I fell.
Well, that's important because just to connect this to our season of life, right? That, she feels like she can do it. Age is not a number in her mind at the moment. I do this all the time. I feel I can do it. I feel in control of my body. And, whether it's karma or it's just plain old sort of like spatial, like I can't feel myself in space anymore the way I used to or something, I don't know what it is, but it changes. And I think actually to aging even more, that's one of the frustrations that comes with it is that, you're up here, you're feeling something that your body just isn't.
Yeah. And that's you gotta shift it. Yeah, I think you're right. I think, I was saying to somebody about reproductive justice is a full spectrum. It starts when you take your first breath, you take your last. And that bodily autonomy thing, I think you're spot on because, my mom and my aunts, they're all deceased at this point, and they would have absolutely teased me relentlessly because my sister and I were assholes laughing at them. Mm-hmm. Someone used to fall up the steps and down the steps.
Yeah,
and we would hear her go, "I'm okay."
That's so funny.
We were like, are you nipping early in the morning? Like, what's going on? She's like, no, I just underestimated or overestimated the step.
Yeah.
And I do think as we're aging, we underestimate or overestimate what we might need. Like, I do think our compass is a little needs reorientation, and which might mean we slow down. Doesn't mean we stop.
Right.
It means we slow down, and we might also ask for additional support if we need it.
Right.
It's hard though, to catch your brain up. I know in COVID, like it wasn't the lockdown, but it was, you weren't doing anything. So I worked I sat for like 9 hours working, and I felt so hemmed in, and like I had so much pent up energy that I thought, I'm going to go for a run. I'm just going to go for a run. And I just literally didn't stretch or anything, just put my running stuff on. Haven't run, I don't know, 5 years. Like, I work out, but I don't run. I'm not a runner anymore. And I just put on my iPod, started running. I'm 4 songs around the block. Sciatica, instant sciatica, like just instant full sciatica. It just,
Oh, that's so painful.
I started walking, and then I went back home, and I was like, okay, like, you don't sit for 8 hours and go run. You're not 25, and
yeah,
I think maybe running's for you anymore. Like, I just don't, like, it was instant. I just don't think what you did, it's hard, because what you did when you're young, you can't do.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
That makes sense to me, though. Like, I had that same, like, pent up, and I felt like the energy that to come out. I felt like I could have run for an hour. Mm-hmm. It's not going to happen. You know, you can't. You gotta warm up your body if you're going to do stuff. I find now, and that's the part that I haven't always been used to. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I to Omi's point that, you know, sort of where we feel that we sort of need to recalibrate, you know, and just kind of like respect where we're at right now. But it's funny because it's got me, this is so off the cuff, but it's got me thinking about time and how time feels different now. So, you know, there is, for me, it feels in a way harder to slow down because time keeps feeling as, you know, it's sped up. And so you want to get to your run, and you just want to, you know, there's this, of course, this physicality to it that you feel pent up, and you just want to put on your sneakers and go, and it's just a run, and what's the big deal? But at the same time, there's this other piece of, I don't want to miss it. You know, I don't want to miss the opportunity. I want to seize the moment. I want to embrace the time and do what I want to do in it. And then the setback, you know, the sciatica or the falling or whatever it is, really kind of puts you back on your heels a little bit, I think.
You know, y'all, somebody asked me 2 questions I thought was interesting. They asked me, what was an aging hack? Mm-hmm. What were my thoughts around death and dying? And so for the aging hack, I said, there is no aging hack. The hack is you get one body and one life. So treat it with like so much kindness, like give yourself exquisite care. That's the hack. And so that looks different for everybody. You know, for some people, their aging hack is going to be recalibrating their relationship with rest. For some people, it's finding a new creative outlet. For some people, it's exploring more deeply their sexuality or sexual intimacy. For some folk, it's a spiritual path, a broadening or deepening, or trying something different. Like, the hack is, you're clear. This is what I got. Yeah. This is what I got. So let me try to get myself in order. And then the thing around death and dying, and what you just said, Rachel, really resonates with me. And I wonder if you feel the same way. Anne Marie is like, I feel a little obsessed around time. Yeah. Like, not wasting time. You know, like I'm always thinking, like, if someone asks me, Omi, would you be interested in doing this? I'm like, is this a good use of my time? Will this bring me joy? Is this something that when I come to this space, what I'm offering is not wasting someone else's time? Like, I feel like I'm constantly thinking about time. And in these last 8 months, 9 months, time has just felt really, really, really slow and really fast at the same time.
Yes.
And I think my right. And my oldest son, who lives in New York, who lives in Brooklyn, we talked about this last time we were on a call together. We haven't seen him since February. Mm-hmm. And now February feels like last year.
No, it's so long.
Like the time of it feels so far away. And he was supposed to come home for Thanksgiving. And of course he did not. Because New York got hot again, and he texted me, and he was like, Mom, I'm not gonna do it. He's like, I know I got my plane ticket, he said, but I can't imagine coming home and inadvertently bringing something with me, either connecting and harming somebody on a plane, or with you and Taj. He said, so I'm gonna stay put. And I was so proud of him, and also just so sad, because it just feels like I really don't know when we're gonna see him. Like, we might not see him by the end of 2020. We're still trying to figure out if he could potentially come home the last part of December for a couple of weeks, and we all quarantine and be here together.
Right.
But time is it just feels so present and thick.
Yeah.
Present and thick. Yes. Wow.
Yeah. I struggle with it not feeling melancholic, because it is so, the awareness of it is so markedly different than it was, 10, 20, 30 years ago. And, and I try not to sort of let it make me feel blue, because there is a component of that. Because it's not, for me, it's not just sort of what I do with my time now, but the time that I've wasted. And in all sorts of ways, not just sort of giving my time away to people or things or places that I wish I hadn't, but also time I've spent in my own head wasting, right? Sort of fussing about this, that, or the other thing. That what you said, Omi, is so rich that taking care of ourselves it to me feels a new concept, which is so unfortunate. I wonder how younger people feel now. I feel like they have not everyone, but they have certainly access to a conversation about self-care and what all that means that I didn't have, or I don't think anyone, I don't know. I don't remember it being a thing.
I don't feel like our peer, do you feel like that? I don't feel like our peer, we had this conversation around self-care, and I certainly didn't see self-care as a conversation with my mom or my aunts or any of the absolutely not. And it's interesting. So in its most grounded expression, self-care feels like the ultimate kindness that people are showing themselves, loving themselves. In its shadowy part, it feels like a huge sense of entitlement.
Mm-hmm.
It's so funny, right? It's the whole thing.
It's tricky because it's like, I'm doing self-care. You're like, are you doing self-care?
I know.
I can do that. I'm doing self-care. You're like,
yeah. Spiritual. Well, it depends if it's like from a spiritual bypassy type person, we don't, if you get that when it's from it's phony. Like, it's like, there's a phony side to it that just rubs you the wrong way.
You can feel the difference. You can feel the difference when you see somebody walking like a really genuine, beautiful self-care practice that looks grounded, that looks gentle, that looks kind. And that kindness that they're extending themselves, they're able to extend out to other people.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't feel selfish. It feels self-loving.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the flip side of that feels very much like, no, can't, no, can't do that. You're like, oh.
Mm-hmm. What I thought about this was, I've lived here for a long time, and they have these, everyone gets their nails done here. Mm-hmm. And when I moved here, I was a much more miserable person. I wasn't miserable. I was an unhappier person. I wasn't kind to myself, had all the issues. And I would go get my nails done and be like, I was sad and unhappy while I was there, and I would be like treating myself to try and feel better. Mm-hmm. And I don't get that many manicures and pedicures now because time, like I just have so many other things to do. Like I just don't want to sit there for that long, but I was treating myself to it. And they also give you a neck and head massage, and it's just like luscious because you just have like your feet and your hands. And I was looking around and I was looking at other women, and I guess I was projecting on them what I used to feel. But I was like, I wonder, like, I just feel so special and happy, and this is like such a treat, and I'm being kind to myself. But I was like, I wonder what they feel like. Are they new here? Or are they like me? Like, I just was remembering like the old and new me. To me, that's just like the thick of it, right? Like it was a true treat. It wasn't like trying to put a Band-Aid on like a big scabby mess.
Yeah. Emery, how long have you been in Abu Dhabi?
It's 2008, like a very long time.
12 years. That's a long time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That is a long time.
That's a long time.
Like lifetimes. It's my kind of like, it's not my home, but my home is with me. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I think about going home all the time, and it almost seems, it's so weird because when I moved here, I put 5 suitcases on a plane. I hadn't seen it. And that seems crazy to me now that I did that. But honestly, the thought of moving home feels more foreign, really, because it seems very strange to me at home.
Wow.
So, remind me where home is again for you?
Like Canada, near Toronto. I'm, you know, I don't know where I would go back to even. Maybe I lived in the capital. I've lived in Toronto. My family lives in a smaller city. I'm just not that worried about it. When you think about time, I spent most of the time here thinking I should be there, I should be here, I should be there. I don't know what's happened in the last year, but turning 50 for me has been like an amazing experience. And this year has been an amazing experience, just sort of like covering myself. I've taken a bunch of courses. I've read important books. Like it feels like all the experiences have really like catapulted me. I don't know. I can't explain it. I feel much more calm and centered, and the anxiety and depression I had in my 40s feels like it's really lifted. I feel like I have a lot more coping mechanisms. So I'm much more zen about where I am. I used to obsess about it. I also used to think that I needed to be at home because my dad and my brother needed me to be there. And now I realize that's a pretty obnoxious sort of ego-driven. It's like, you know what I mean?
You're like, you don't need me. You mean you're
right. Like, if I come home,
that's a big lesson, though. That's a big lesson to learn that you're actually you're not hurting anyone by your presence not being there, and it's obviously you don't mean in the moment to feel like self-important. That's not where it's coming from, I'm sure. But but I think you kind of recognize that they are them and you are you, and you're just sort of orbiting around each other and with each other and without each other, and everybody survives.
Yeah, and they're great. They never
survive. Everybody survives. That's
you got to do you. I mean, I'm not a parent, so you ladies are parents, and that's a whole other level of sacrifice. But I think on most levels, for me, a lot of happiness has come to realize that, I've got to take care of all this, because if I spend time, it's pretty codependent or whatever you want to call it. That's been a real key for me.
I think parenting adult children gives you another opportunity to figure that out too. Like, because Taj is 12 and Shay is 28. So I'm back in these different quadrants of care, quadrants of parenting. And my oldest, he doesn't actually need me in the ways that resonate or energetically feel like mommy. Mothering is different.
Yeah.
And I know that we have a really sweet relationship, and he will definitely check in with me on things. And I'll ask him when he calls me and say, "Hey, Mom, can I talk to you for a second?" I'm like, "So what would you like? You want me to just listen so you could just like say it? Or do you want my opinion? What would you like?" And he'll tell me. He's like, "I just want you to listen. I just need to get it out." Or, "I want your opinion on this. Like, I really want your thoughts on this." Or, "I need you to help me figure this out." Like some deeper hands-on or sometimes spiritual work that we'll do together. But I also know at the end of the day, he ain't got to do anything I say. Nothing. Not one thing. Like I could be like, I could give a treatise that is beautiful. And so then when I was 7, these are all the things I've learned, Shay, and I'm going to bestow them on you. And he'll be like, "Word, I'm not going to do that." What you gonna do? You gotta let your ego go. And so Emery, like when you said, my dad and my brother are surviving, they're living without me.
Yeah.
You're okay.
And my kid is living without me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that must
I mean, just to piggyback off the adult child thing, it's quite something. But I also think that it's having a high functioning adult child is really, I mean, obviously it's just such a blessing, but it really helps you kind of peel away. And I always felt like my sort of thought on parenting was that, you know, these beings come to you and your job is to now spend the next however many years getting them away from you. So it's not, and it's not a soulful disconnect or a spiritual disconnect or a loving disconnect. It's just getting them ready to function without you there, you know, without, and my son also, he calls to check in and it's like the highlight of my existence, you know, and and we're texting all the time and we're very close and, but he is living without me, you know, he's involved with a lovely young woman and it's like the best thing ever for me. And I know that he doesn't need me the way that he once did. And it's like, whew, you know, thank God, because that would just be, you know, it could be a whole different can of worms. And and it's been nice personally sort of to at the same time recognize, as Anne Marie I think was speaking to, that I that role, whatever that is, you know, that mommy piece or whatever, that identification, I also exist without it.
That's right.
You know, so I'm always a mother to my last breath, and it's the best thing ever. But I exist without it now at every, you know, at every single, in every moment. And that's also kind of been a realization.
Oh yeah.
And Marie, you sent us some juicy questions.
Well, you know,
Marie, a writer. She a writer. You were like, tick, 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 tick.
It was Rachel.
yes.
That was you. Question. I was like going back and forth. I was like, ooh, ooh, ooh.
There were so many, and I think I sent maybe 2 or 3 emails blank. I didn't know what I was forwarding, so I might have forwarded you the same thing 3 times, or I might have sent you 3 blanks. I don't know. I'm sorry about that.
That's why I thought it was coming from Anne Marie. Probably. I was like, well, what is going on? But I thought the list of questions was really good.
Oh,
and,
good.
I was like, well, which one do we want to talk about?
Yeah, what resonated for you guys? Omi, you said the insecurity issue, and sex is always a hot topic. We should probably save that for a full hour.
I think that should be a full hour topic.
Let's do a full hour of sex.
I don't remember what else you said, Omi, that was sort of sparked something for you. I don't remember what I said.
The insecurity thing sparked something for me. You know, we've been talking about melancholy and depression and stuff like that, and I had a really great conversation with my therapist this past week about melancholy, and the difference between a melancholy that I feel like is a part of my disposition that people on the outside looking in would not know is a part of how I move in the world. And then the depression, which is both different. And I said to him, I think that I'm trying to develop a different relationship with my melancholic moments, because there's information that I'm getting, as opposed to like, oh, I'm trying to become more curious around what's sparking that. And I do think that one of the things that sparks melancholic moods for me is insecurities that people don't know I walk with. Insecurities. I have a very strong performative mask that I have curated since I was about 12 or 13. I didn't feel attractive at all. I don't know anybody who felt attractive in 7th grade. There are very few people I know who felt attractive in 6th or 7th grade. But I just felt like in my prepubescent, preteen mind, I started to try to tinker and construct a way that would make me appear more confident, and then I would eventually, hopefully, catch up with that appearance. And it's been that kind of like push-pull of my appearance meets you first, and then I'm hoping I'm going to be able to catch up with my appearance. And it's just been a really long curation. Some of the masks that I walk with are necessary in this country because they keep me safe from harm. As a Black woman who lives in the South, you know, it's just like there's certain masks that I wear that I know will keep me safe from harm. But some masks are just not necessary. And I've had them for a really long time.
Yeah.
So the moments of melancholy that come up around looking older, feeling older, not sure about if partnership is available or I'll be able to access a loving, intimate relationship. In those moments of melancholy, like I'm getting to like also explore some of these masks, which is, you know, y'all probably knows on Instagram, I try to show people the sparkle and also the bear.
Yeah.
Like I think it's important for people to see us as we age, to see, yes, this is the sparkle, this is the strong, this is the confident, and this is the bear, and this is the soft, and this is the unsure. And it's okay to be unsure. There's nothing wrong with that, you know?
I find that interesting because an old guy that was interested in me got in touch. He's very annoying every time. He gets in touch every couple of years and he drives me crazy, but he just annoying.
He's perennially annoying.
Annoying every time he gets in touch. Even he phones me on Facebook. I'm like, it doesn't even work here. And he tells me I should watch, listen to. Like, I don't even talk to him. So he was telling me he's really into Brene Brown. I'm like, okay, yeah, way to go. You've really discovered something there. It's a real
He's trying to connect.
You Aunt Marie?
But anyway, he said something to me that in the middle of me being annoyed by him, I was like, oh, that's really sweet. And I really like that you said that. He said, he knew me when I was 20, and he said, you were the original vulnerable person because you would just say what your vulnerabilities with. And I was like, okay, that's really sweet. And he's right. And I used to think that was a huge failing of mine. Like my whole life, I thought there was something wrong with me because I would say to people, don't you feel this or don't you feel that? And I would always feel ashamed when I said it, but I've got a loud mouth and I can't sort of censor myself. My whole life I felt like that. And it wasn't until my 40s that I was like, everyone feels the way that I do. Every single person feels this way. Like, yes, we all have moments of confidence, but like every single person is walking around wondering if they're doing it right.
Right.
If the way they're feeling is the way they're supposed to be feeling. And being hard on yourself for that is making it like 10 times worse. And we see people acting all sorts of ways because of this. And so it's just, again, this year it's all sort of come together for me and I'm perfect now. No.
Yay!
Yeah, like, it's just going to be.
I love that he reaches out to you every 2 years. I mean, he's consistent.
Yes.
But he said that nice thing, so yeah. Anyway, I do think that's one thing that's helpful is that realizing people don't show it. Everyone's wearing masks, but I've done a lot of reading about this, and I do think that the more of us that, like what you just said, just saying that, just people hearing it, it's so because hearing other people say that stuff has made me feel free and get rid of the shame that I always felt for feeling that way. I felt ashamed for just basically being human. That's all it is, right?
Yeah. I think one of the reasons it was on my list, it's been really on my mind a lot, this idea of midlife insecurity, because I recognize that, or I sort of caught myself feeling intensely insecure about any number of things, some old, some new. But one of the new things was I realized that I was, scrolling Instagram or whatever else and seeing all of these women talking about being menopausal or perimenopausal, what have you, and feeling like free and happy and, they've tossed away their masks. They've tossed away their whatever, their inhibitions. And not to say eventually some of those things won't come around for me, but they're all not there now. And I thought, I kind of caught myself feeling insecure that I wasn't sharing, you know, this newfound freedom I had since I turned 50 or whatever it was. And I thought, no, that can't be right, because there's no feeling that only one person has ever had, right? So somewhere I know for a fact that we're all feeling to some degree an insecurity. And so I recognized that there was that new insecurity, but then I also realized that just the fact that I was feeling that way told me that I still had old ones, you know, that I was like over my shoulder and I was dragging along into this season of life with. And I don't want that. So it was this realization that there was still work to do, and that as long as we're living and breathing and in relationship with whomever, there's still work to do, and that doesn't end. It doesn't need to end. At the same time, I think there also needs to be space for women to be soft places to land for each other. And because I think that continues to be a thing, you know, oh, you're not freed up enough yet. You know, what do you mean? You still do that?
Social media, right? It's like everything is turned into a transformation, whether it's your past or your 50s, you're like soaring, you know.
Yeah. And I think, you know, that, I mean, there are people in my life I know who know me well. And so part of it is maybe calling me on something, but the other part of it is kind of like, you know, yeah, this is where I'm at. This is who I am at this moment today. And I need room for that too. So, you know, when I was making that list, I was thinking about, in terms of this issue, that like everything else, you know, where we are on any given day needs space. You know, it doesn't need permission. It just needs space, right? It just needs to find its way. And, you know, when I was a younger woman, I can remember meeting, and I don't know any of them anymore. These were sort of random meetings I had with women who were much older than me, and I revered like immediately, you know. And the one thing about all of them I realized the other day is that they were so non-judgmental. Like that was the big thing, you know. They were intensely beautiful women because they gave you attention and they looked you in the eye and they had no judgment. You know, they listened without judgment. And so I recall them frequently, and that's appealing to me, and it continues to be appealing to me. But I also know of them that they had moments of sort of going, I don't know what to do here. I don't know what the answer is. Why did I do that again? Why did I just say that to my spouse, or whomever, you know, why did I say it? Why did I yell at my mother? Like whatever it was, you know? And so I think, again, we're just, you know, we exist, women, sort of like feeling less than, feeling, you know, just not quite right? It's just like not quite the right space for us. And I see it being dragged into midlife by myself, and I can't believe I would be the only one who is. Hi, Kat. And
what are y'all talking about?
Join us.
Feels my energy because I'm feeling all gooey and gushy right now. So he's like, he's my protection. I'm going.
Oh, that's so sweet. Well, that's what I've been thinking about that. So I really wanted to know where you guys.
I mean, this really. I mean, it feels like it's like buoying to what Anne Marie said around vulnerability, right? It's like they were not judgmental, but they also were vulnerable, where they were like, so you could see on the mask. You know, I sometimes talk about my past insecurities, like Jacob Marley from A Christmas Story. You know, it's like jangling down the hall, dragging all the chains from 1985.
Yes.
Sitting on the side of my bed, like, hey, I'm like, oh, geez, you're from my senior year in high school? Why are you here? And he's like, you know why I'm here, you know, that kind of situation. So I think that does, you know, it does meet up with these new versions of me that are traveling with me. They have lots of thoughts and needs and wisdom. And I also realize that as I've gotten older, sometimes people look to me in my community here in North Carolina or in this field of work that I do as a teacher or a mentor. They're like, oh, you're a teacher. Like, you know, I would share your expertise. I'm like, I'll share my experience or my perspective. I don't know why I bristle around the language of expertise. To me, it feels a little classist because it's like, people who live at any level in society are the experts of their own journey. They're the experts of their own story. So I just rather be like, what's your lived experience? Like, what's your wisdom and what's your truth? And I was like, the moment that I forget that I'm also still a student is when the hubris is taken completely over and I am a lost cause. Like, I don't want to be that person. Don't want to be that older person in my community where younger women or younger people seek me out and they only see me as a one-dimensional, two-dimensional person who only can like externally give you something. I also don't want that relationship to be extractive and non-reciprocal because I feel like that's the other side of that where it's like, oh, teach me, tell me, mentor me. I'm like, yo, you want to be in a relationship? Because that I'm interested in varying degrees of friendship, varying degrees of associates, varying degrees. I know that my intimates are a very small number of people, like, you know, my core intimates, but I'm a very social person. So I don't mind having people who I have varying degrees of friendship with, but I'm not interested in extractive stuff where you just kind of pull from me and you don't want to necessarily see the bare face, the softness, the vulnerability. Because then it's like, you're not interested in the real me. You're interested in the great Oz. I'm just like I'm not trying to be the person behind the screen wielding this big machine. There's enough of that out there. I don't want to.
Strange, isn't it? So it's strange, isn't it? Because we are wise, but it's you know I heard my friend. She's a great marriage. One of the few I sort of admire and would want, but she said it's like a video game. You know, we just keep going up levels, me and him, and we were saying all of life is like that. So every level you get to, it's odd at this time of life though, because I can be hard on myself. Like, you should know better. You shouldn't have made that mistake. You've been around a long time, but that just because you have experience and wisdom from your accumulated experience doesn't mean that you get it right every single time. And being hard on ourselves about that doesn't do any good either, you know?
It doesn't feel useful. It doesn't feel useful.
No.
Yeah. So I'm glad we're having this conversation publicly because I feel like there are folk who are coming behind us who will assume like what you said, Rachel, once you get to this age, you are just free, honey. Running around, enjoying life. You ain't got no kids. You're traveling. You're taking a lover who's like 20 years younger than you. All of these things could also be true.
Yeah.
And you're still figuring your stuff
out.
Still always figuring it out and being gentle with yourself as you're learning. Because I've done a ton of new stuff in the last 3 years, and it's terribly hard, and it's the same trajectory. I'm sure, you ladies know when you try something new and you beat yourself up and you hate it and you're, why am I trying this? And like learning all the web stuff and it's been a whole thing. Just like really violent on myself, like throwing myself on the bed. Like, why am I doing this? I could be relaxing.
You took to the bed. You took
upset. When she's upset, she's young.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
Oh, that's so funny. It's so Victorian of you.
It is. It's like, what are you doing? Oh, no. I had to take to the bed. It was too much. I don't know how to embed codes into this website. I had to take to the bed.
I don't know how to link mail to the website. I don't know how. Like, I mean,
I'm going to start doing that.
Me too. Me too. I am. They're like, what's going on, Miss? I had to take to the bed. I have to call y'all later.
It's my bed. I tried something new. I don't know how to do it.
Well, you know what's interesting you say that because y'all know I wrote the zine.
Mm-hmm. Congratulations.
Yay.
Thank you.
Very exciting.
Anne-Marie, you know, as a writer, everybody has a writer's journey. And my writer's journey is what it is. Long story short, I took to the bed when it was time for me to try to figure out how to upload this different platform. One was a platform that people could just read it, and that platform is called Issue, which I was not familiar with Issue. I was like, oh, this is cool, it's groovy. I don't know how to do this. And the other one was like, so I want to sell it. So how do I sell it? And so I found Blurb. So these two different platforms, great, seem fairly user-friendly, except for I didn't know what the hell I was doing.
Yeah.
I had meltdowns twice on the phone with my son. And he's so good with me. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing. He was like, just push the button, Mom. if I push this button to upload all this work and it doesn't take, he was like, then you'll try a different way. I'm thinking the world is going to end. I'm going to take to the bed. I am a failure because you're not supposed to be still figuring creative stuff out. So literally when I pushed the button to upload it to Issue, I burst into tears.
Aww.
And I called him and I said, it took. He said, it took? I said, it took. He's like, it's live? I said, it's alive.
Oh,
and he was like, Mommy. He's like, honey, I'm so proud of you. He said, no one's path is set. You can always do something different.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, thank you.
Yes, and you see, can I just say, you brought that to him in I'm assuming, right? That's one of the lessons he learned from you, and that's such a wonderful sort of close in a way. Not that I'm getting us off, but that we can always try another way. You know, and I think that's another thing too that we get. I envisioned this stage of life would be not an end in a doom and gloom way, but an end in terms of I would have had a career that I'm now settled in, or I would have had, I would have done something great that I planned on doing. Like there would have been a sort of a point where it's now I just get to live the rest of my life because I've kind of figured it all out. Mm-hmm. And that's the one thing I've learned about, if any, one of the first thing is that it just doesn't work that way. And there's always opportunity to try it a different way, to try it another day. It's actually kind of a relief. To that for me feels like it reads truer to me than it did, 10, 20, 30 years ago, that I can trust that I can try again. But it takes a minute. It takes a minute to get there.
Yeah.
It's never been easy, right? It's never been easy to do new things. But I think there might be a period of time, maybe in your 30s and 40s, you're just working and you don't try as many new things, maybe. I don't know. There's something about this age that makes me feel bolder, but I feel like that's also the key to being a little bit more happy in life, because it's sort of, there's this concept called hormesis that I'm obsessed with because I've been doing these ice baths, that
yes.
Say more.
What is it called? Hormesis?
Hormesis, but it's, I'm not a biology person. I'm dumbing it right down, but it's basically like doing hard things. Well, your body goes, wow, okay, I got to work harder. Because And it's the same when I get in the ice bath or have a cold shower, or you try to do a new project, or you upload an easy, it makes you stronger. Or a CrossFit class. Not that I would want to do that, but it's just we're meant to challenge ourselves, and it doesn't stop. But I think it feels more hard, maybe because you're this age, and if it's a web thing or a computer thing, and you fancy that someone 10 years younger would be able to do this like that, and I don't think that's true either. I just think that's all in our brain. Like, yeah,
interesting.
I
like that. Hormesis. HORS.
Hormesis. I like it too, and it applies to everything. And I think for some things, like, we might tap into, because it feels more familiar, but even in that, you can try harder things in what feels familiar to you, and it's a nice lesson for yourself, I think.
It is a nice lesson. That's a nice gift. And I also love that our bodies are so amazing that they will adapt. If we actually do it, our bodies will adapt. The body's like, yo, what is that? Oh, okay. Are we going to keep doing this? This is like a one-time
the cold shower.
Yeah.
Right. And if you can keep doing it, I think you're right. Your body will eventually, the flexing of that new muscle. I had never done a podcast before. I was like, I love podcasts. I love audio storytelling. I had no idea what I was doing whatsoever. And was like, every step of the way had other people the universe just kept ushering people in.
Amazing. To
help me. Like, it's like every time I vocalize, I would like to try this. The universe was ear hustling. It was like, what does she say? And then
that's how it works.
Universe.
Yeah, I love that.
Petty. The universe is petty, but the universe is never wrong.
Yeah.
But usher in.
But look at you now. Look at you now. You're a podcaster. Old.
Look at that.
Old, but you know what I mean? Old hat, I think.
Look at that.
It's amazing.
If you had told me 2 years ago, y'all, that I would be doing podcasts and all kinds of crazy stuff, and I would have put together some kind of intergalactic, interdimensional, Afrofuturistic multiverse, I would be like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. They're like, sure you are.
Hey, you did. You did do that.
That's amazing.
I appreciate that reminder, Anne-Marie. I appreciate that word. I love words, so I'm gonna.
Well, ladies, should we wrap up? Because I think they wanted it 45 minutes. They can cut little bits out if they want. I don't know.
They'll edit what they will.
I love talking to you two the most.
Same here.
Fun. It's so much fun getting to know y'all. And
it really is.
It really is. Talk about sex and dating.
Great.
And relationships.
Yeah, that sciatic is going to come back when we talk about sex.
Either that or you're going to take to your bed.
Be careful. You got to.
Oh, that's so funny.
Not wait for that conversation.
Don't get any.
I start hot flashing for some reason when I talk to you two. I don't know what it is. I have not had one since the last time I got on the phone with you two.
I was so hot last time. My glasses were fogging up, and I got so hot.
I can only imagine what the sex talk will be.
Oh, that'll be great.
It's gonna be great.
Everybody, just make sure you have a fan with you and a napkin or something.
A glass of water.
Right. So we can.
Oh, that's so funny. All right. Love you too. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Y'all too. Sending y'all both big virtual hugs and love and safety and all the good things.
Yes. Stay safe and well and healthy.
All right. Y'all take care.
Bye, gals.
Bye.